w with those memes, it's always just like pictures, photoshopped pictures, drawings and cartoons and stuff like that. And we were like, what if we actually did it, you know, in like physically live action, and let's see how far we can take this. So
This is great. I'm really excited to chat with you. Let's talk shrimp fried rice. Uh,
yeah, let's do it.
I am so excited today to be speaking with Dylan Punn, the co-writer and director. Am I saying that properly? Co-writer and
Yep.
director of Shrimp Fried Rice. Dylan, thank you for the time. I appreciate it.
No, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
I gotta ask, you okay?
My girlfriend asks me that all the time. It's certainly something going on up here, but we'll let the doctors figure that one out.
I absolutely love this film. It was so bonkers and in the best way. Where did Shrimp Fried Rice come from?
It's kind of funny. It happened one night. I was certainly under the influence. Um, and I had just come back home from a party, I believe, and me and my girlfriend getting ready for bed, and I just, kind of had the thought. I was like, what if a shrimp actually fried the rice? And I'm like typing on my phone, and my girlfriend's like, "What the hell are you talking about?" Like she didn't get it, and I was like, "Hold on, I'm working here." And the next morning I checked my phone and looked at what I wrote, and I was like, "Hey, that's not half bad." Um, those ideas aren't always the best ones, but this one proved to be the exception. So. It kind of stemmed from I mean I don't know how much time you spend on the internet, but I spend a lot of my time on the internet. And there's this collection of memes with a shrimp frying the rice, the classic dad joke. You're telling me a shrimp fried this rice, and um, w with those memes, it's always just like pictures, photoshopped pictures, drawings and cartoons and stuff like that. And we were like, what if we actually did it, you know, in like physically live action, and let's see how far we can take this. So I called up my co-writer Michael Turk, and we kind of just took it as far as we could take it, and I think we took it maybe a little too far.
No, no. It's hilarious. Uh,
Thank you.
and as a fan of Ratatouille, I don't think I have to bleep it out when I say it now, but as a fan of Ratatouille, I thought this is just so good. Uh,
Yeah, I mean Ratatouille is one of my favorites too, right? And that I think that's obvious from the influence, but yeah, we wanted to kind of make the opposite of Ratatouille, someone who's rude and crass and a total asshole. So,
I was wondering, like, I mean, of course, unlike Ratatouille, you're dealing with physical people, and you're this puppetry here. Was that a challenge to do because it's such a unique style of puppetry in this film?
yeah, it was my first time working with puppets actually. So it was a whole new world for me, and it definitely presented a lot of technical and logistical challenges for us and the team, especially on, a limited budget. Um, when we first reached out to our puppet team, Tree Dragon Films, and our lead puppet fabricator, Benjamin Fishy Rose, he described it to me as working with children and animals in terms of how long it takes to film puppets. And that was a shock to us. Like, and myself and my producer saying we had never worked with puppets before, and so it was certainly a new challenge and learning a lot about what it takes to film with puppets and the limitations that it comes with. Um, with puppets, I never thought about this, but it's obvious to me now. there's a puppeteer hiding below the frame of the camera, right? And oftentimes puppet films or TV shows, you hide the puppeteer behind a table or a curtain or something. Like there's objects that hide the puppeteer from view of the camera. And so we quickly realized we had kind of contradicted ourselves with the mockumentary genre and puppets. How can you have this free-flowing camera, this spontaneity, but also have to hide puppeteers? And so it presented a lot of challenges that, honestly, I think made the film better in a way, in the sense that, like, we had to be extremely prepared and we had to know what we were filming going into things. Like everything you saw in that film was storyboarded, to the frame, and it had to be because we needed to know where we were going to hide these puppeteers. There's a shot in the film where Dave and the shrimp go to confront the rat minion in their kitchen. And there's that one shot where he walks across the kitchen, pushes the other chef out of the way. Seemingly a very, simple shot, but because there are puppeteers on the ground, we had to choreograph between the camera team and the puppeteers, like how we were going to move everyone. So those little zooms that you see were intentional to give our puppeteers a little more space to crawl across the floor from one end to the other. And yeah, it was interesting. It was a lot of fun. The team was incredible and very knowledgeable and experience. So we were in good hands, but it was certainly a totally new thing for us to think about.
I wondered that because like that shot you're referencing, like as a viewer, I thought that must have been tough because you have the cut scenes where the shrimp, I don't even know if the shrimp has a name,
You
but
just the shrimp, yeah.
the shrimp, I mean he's talking to the camera and you're like, okay, that makes sense. But these scenes are like practical real time movements that yeah, like you're saying there, it adds to it though so much. I think it really takes it from, oh, there's just this tiny thing to, oh no, it's actually there. um
Yeah. Part
yeah.
of selling the shrimp was being able to use it in a wide shot,
Mm.
right? If you're always close, like yeah, you can get away with it, but I think it adds to the realism if you can see him on top of Dave's head and like them moving around. So that was, some of the challenge as well. And again, big credit to Ben, who, made us two versions of the puppet. Um, every shot you see in the close up of the shrimp, that's a hand puppet, and it's a hand puppet because it is, it offers the most flexibility in terms of motion and characterization. Like, like you can control your hand a lot more in comparison to what was on top of his head, which was a 50% scale of that puppet on his head, controlled by cables. So, being able to use both puppets interchangeably and kind of like cut between the two allowed us to get the best of both worlds, where you had him in the wide shot and the realism, but then also the animated nature of the puppet in these close-ups with the hand puppet.
Yeah, I can absolutely see that. And but one of the things I like about this film too is it's not just about the shrimp.
Hmm.
There's some depth to this. The second half takes a turn. Now, obviously, it's still played lightly. There's still comedy. It's still very funny. But there's some interesting conversations going on. I was wondering why, like, it seems to be talking about a lot about the fear of the immigrant experience. I was
Hmm.
wondering why you wanted to impose that in this film about talking shrimp.
I mean, I think it's one thing to make the joke, the shrimp fried this rice, and another to play with the ratatouille aspect of things. But for us, like when we were writing the film, we wanted it to have some heart. We wanted to have some depth. We didn't just want it to be 12 minutes of laughs. We wanted there to be some real character building And you know, I think when we were brainstorming about like what the story could be, it felt like it felt necessary to kind of like contrast the shrimp and his human. As you know, in Ratatouille, like it's very, they're kind to each other and they work together and it's like it's cute and it's fun. And our shrimp is the opposite. He's an asshole, right? And so, the comedy kind of came from that, but I think the question started to come out about like why would a human subject themselves to this kind of treatment? And it kind of started to organically become, well, this does kind of happen, maybe not in a literal sense, but the abusive relationship between employers and illegal immigrants and how they're exploited, both here in Canada and the U.S. So we started to kind of take a deeper dive. The migrant workers here in Canada do, get treated very unfairly here. It's a real problem. And it's something we wanted to highlight. I think we wanted to even in a comedic sense, provide some light to the topic and also give them a win, like in this case he comes out on top and we hope that immigrant workers can find that justice, it's unfortunate what's happening with them.
I genuinely think that's what makes the film so special. Like, it would be one thing if you come in for 12 minutes and have a few laughs and, like, you're probably too young to reference this, but the shrimp reminded me almost of Ed the Sock. Uh,
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah.
it reminded me of Ed the Sock from back in the day. Like, he's good for a
Yes.
few laughs, but it's that aspect of it that really makes the film, elevates it, makes it special. I think
Yeah.
it's a really interesting conversation, and even like there's a line I wanted to get your opinion on a line from the film too. Uh,
Hmm.
and it's a the chef says, I thought I could show of what I'm capable of here. And I was wondering about if you could speak about that, the joy of showing what you're capable of.
Yeah. I mean, I think, humans in general want to, show what they can do and be recognized for it, right? Like I think everyone has talent, they have skills, they have, things that they are good at. And I think it's a human experience to want to feel the love for that, as filmmakers, we feel that, right? And I think, again, as a person who comes from an immigrant family, like it's something that I've witnessed not only in my own family, but in friends and the community at large, like people leaving their home country and coming here, coming to the US and not being able to live up to their full potential because they are, let's use the sirens, um, they're kind of, systemically prohibited from doing these things, like I know people who have medical degrees from, countries that they immigrated from and they can't practice here because it's not recognized in Canada. And you have very intelligent, well-educated people driving, Uber and Lyft here, and it's again, it's unfortunately a common immigrant experience, but I think we all just want to have that love and that validation, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I know like this film totally offers that, totally celebrates that, I should say.
Hmm.
Um, I know just as we're starting to wrap, Dylan, I was wondering what do you hope people take away from shrimp fried rice?
I mean, I think with shrimp fried rice, I hope the audience has fun. Yeah, as much as we talk about the sob story of Dave and his immigrant experience, the film is meant to be fun and lighthearted, and Um, that's really all we want to do is just entertain and have people come out of it with a smile on their face. It's I love me a good drama and I love me a good serious film, but for us, like Shrimp Fried Rice was just meant to give people a good laugh. And hey, you finally get to see a shrimp fry some rice, right? So it's again, it's just fun. We hope people enjoy it, and we're excited that people finally get to see it.
I love it. Honestly, it's so much fun. Premieres at Fantasia at July 28th, I think, if I have the correct date.
Yeah, July 28th at 9:25, we are premiering in front of a feature film titled Buffet Infinity by Simon Glassman, also here from Canada. And we're excited. We're excited to get it out there and see an audience's live reaction.
I honestly, I think it's going to be a great night. And thank you so much for your time, Dylan. I really appreciate it. The film is just hilarious. It is so good.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you having us on the show, and again, thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hopefully, we'll talk again soon.
100%, we'll do it.
Thanks, man.